In this film, I'm going to explore the heritage of small-scale hydropower in Scotland, starting with early water wheels and ending up with modern microhydro plants. My first port of call is Aberfeldy to speak with Graham Douglas, an expert on early water wheels. I'm in the water mill at Aberfeldy, and I've come to meet Graham Douglas, who's been involved with water wheels since the 1970s.
My field work and recording program did show or highlight just how different the water wheels are, and just almost every one of them is different. Water power in Scotland was used for a variety of things: grinding grain, sawmills, thrashing machines, flint grinding mills, to name a few.
Very early horizontal water wheels were used to power small mills on farms, notably in Orkney and Shetland, where they were called click mills, and in Lewis, where they were known as Norse mill. It's estimated that in the early 19th century there were some 500 click mills in Shetland alone, and I'm going to look at a few that have survived. Firstly, the Huxter click mills in the north of Shetland. The main stream feeding water to these mills is behind me here. At this point, a gate could be lowered in order to divert the stream either to the mill above on my right or to bypass that to the mills below. I'm now going to the south of the island to look at the mills at Bodham, and also Ian Smith's working click mill at Troswick nearby. I'm in Bodham in the south of Shetland looking at some ancient click mills. Down the length of the stream there's a whole series, one above me here and a derelict one here, and the one you can see a little bit further below me is almost perfectly intact.
This is the underhouse here, where your power plant is. You see the water wheel in there, which we call the turtle. There's a concrete centre that's in with wooden paddles. And then this is the lightning tree here going up to the wedges in the inside of the mill, which controls it.
So the mill isn't actually operating at the moment, Ian. When will it actually be used for grinding corn?
Well, it's usually in the winter time, when there's plenty of water. You dam in the loch, and then you just lift the sluice, the loch, and it's usually in January, February. I usually grind. Then I get a bit more daylight in February, sometimes even March, depending on the amount of water.
Looking up the stream here, it looks as though there were more than just this one mill.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah. There were 9 mills on this stream here. Yeah.
9 mills, that's incredible. So there must have been an enormous amount of power generated. If there were 9 mills operating, did they all operate at the same time?
Yeah. When they were all working together, when you added all that horsepower together, you were getting a lot of power. This is the Luntstein here. This is when you come out the door with your bag, you set the bag on here and you lifted it on your back.
I've now come to the Isle of Lewis to look at their horizontal water wheels.
Here we are at a horizontal mill in the Isle of Lewis. Here they tend to be called Norse mills. On the Isle of Lewis there were at least 200 of these horizontal mills when they worked predominantly in the 19th century and up until the 1930s. The mill house has 2 rooms, an upper room, the one we're in here, and the under room, where the mill is turning, where the water comes in. And here in this culture, the water always came in so that the stones would turn clockwise. So the actual architecture of the mill was determined in that the water had to come in so as to turn the stones according to the sun. The power for this mill came from a loch the lovely Loch Rhinovat, because the geography of Lewis, it's very suitable because there are many, many lochs, and streams that aren't too large, not too powerful, are just right to be used in these kinds of mills.
Vertical water wheels are most iconic. These rotate about a horizontal axis. I'm going to look at two different types, the overshot wheel, where the water enters at the top, and the breast shot, where the water enters at about the level of the axis. At the moment I'm on my way to see the Quandale Mill in Shetland. After this I'll go on to Barony Mill in Orkney.
Yeah, this is an overshot water wheel where the water is coming in over the top and rotating the wheel. It's much more powerful than the small horizontal click mill.
I'm at the Barony Mill in the Orkney Isles and I've come to meet Brian Johnston. Can you just tell us a little bit about this mill, what type of wheel this is, for example?
Well, this mill is an overshot wheel, where the water goes over the top of the wheel, and the mill speed, to have everything working in the mill, has to be 12 RPM.
And what sort of power would that generate then at that speed?
Oh, between 47 and 48 horsepower.
A good example of a breast-shot wheel is the one powering Preston Mill near East Linton.
This is Preston Mill, one of the oldest working water mills in Scotland, and the last working mill on the River Tyne. 100 years ago, there were between 15 and 20 water mills between Haddington and the sea at Dunbar, milling oats, as at Preston Mill, but also other cereals and working timber and for weaving. In the last 50 years, all the mills, apart from Preston Mill, have now gone, either become derelict as industry has changed, or have been turned into people's houses.
The working water mill at Blair Athol is powered by a breast-shot wheel, which takes water from the River Tilt.
Water wheel outside powers all the machinery, including the millstones in the floor above, the sifting machine over here, and the hoist for lifting the bags of flour when they're full.
I'm now going to visit Stanley Mills, one of Historic Scotland's most important heritage sites. I'm at Stanley Mills just north of Perth. These were built in 1786 as cotton mills. Stanley Mills are on the River Tay and were powered by the water from the river. So behind me here were water wheels for harnessing this power. Today there's a modern microhydro scheme on the site for generating electricity.
Okay, so Stanley Mills is situated on this peninsula of land with the River Tay running fast round the edge. The river at the other side of the peninsula from the mill is 20 feet higher than this side, and that is what they tunnel through to bring the water through with a head of 20 feet to drop over the water wheels, and then of course the water's going back into the river. So these are the wheel pits where there would have been up to 7 wheels turning at any one time. You can see the S-shaped breast brickwork behind us, which enables the mill to get the best power from the water, and you can see the groove in the wall that the metal water wheel has cut.
Whereas early water wheels were linked directly to on-site machinery, modern hydro schemes use turbines to drive electrical generators, which are usually connected to the national grid. I'm going to the west coast to talk to two people who have developed small-scale hydro plants. Firstly, Sir William Lithgow at his Ormsby estate, and then just along the road to Roy Foster.
95 years ago, this was the latest thing. It's still working. My father was a great enthusiast for electrification, particularly in the shipyards, and was one of the initiators of the national grid. This was the first all-electric country house in the British Isles.
What hydro is all about is collecting rainfall, and here we are high up. The rainfall is higher up here. The evaporation and transpiration is less, and we're picking up water in this little intake, screening out the grass, and then we're sending it down a canal, a lade that is pitched at 1 in 200, and we take it round the hillside, gathering any streams en route, and eventually pop it into a pipe which will conduct it to the reservoir. This is a home-built dam which has enlarged the loch, which is now feeding a fish farm and a generator producing 130 kilowatts.
Hello, I'm Roy Foster. We're here today at Ashfield Farm on the shores of Loch Sween. We're a family business. We've been here since 1984, and we currently operate 6 micro hydro stations which are continuously feeding the national grid with power. Here we are at the Twin Lochs Reservoir. To my right we have the water intake with a measuring device. From here, pipes take the water from this reservoir down to the Twin Lochs power station. We're approximately 230 metres above the station. It's a 500 kilowatt storage hydro station. As you can see, the reservoir extends, it's quite an extensive reservoir. Here we can hold enough water for approximately 3 weeks production at full power. Here we are at the Twin Lochs power station. Earlier on today we were at the reservoir. We're now at the sharp end, the business end. Fairly noisy here. This is a 500 kilowatts single jet Pelton consisting of main inlet valve, hydraulics pack behind it, I don't know if you can see that, turbine and generator.
Some of the small-scale hydro schemes in Scotland are community-based. I'm going to visit one of these. I've come to the Isle of Mull to look at their new community hydro project, and I'm going to meet up with Richard Thorne, who's the project manager.
This is the source of the Garmany Hydro Scheme. As you can see, it's a run-of-river scheme, so there's no reservoir or major water storage facility. The water comes over the weir, through a coanda screen, through a trough and fed into the tank on which I'm stood on, before it's fed into the penstock and going down to the hill to the turbine house.
Numerous micro-hydro schemes are now feeding energy into the grid and making an important contribution to Scotland's energy resource.